I'd like to call the meeting in order. Raise for the pledge of the flag, please. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Attendance, Sean, please.
Board Member Aversa. Board Member Dean. Board Member Kimball.
Here.
Board Member Larkin.
Present.
Chairman Sirianni.
Here. There's no presentation scheduled today.
That is correct, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, are there public comments? Any speakers?
We have two public speakers signed up. The first is Brandon Gorchak.
Brandon, could you come up, please?
Good evening. My name is Brandon Gorchak from 114 78th Street. I was in a few months ago for a crazy high water bill that I had gotten due to a leak from the backyard. It was in the back of the house. I had gotten the second invoice. I had contacted the previous finance gentleman. He had offered $1,000 for the first set of bill and the second for the new bill because it was in a split quarter. The bill is totaling $9,086 in total. I spoke with Mr. Smith about the financing. He offered $1,000 off, no fees, and 18 months to pay. I'm looking for some sort of leniency of any sort, even at 18 months. With $1,000 off is like $450 a month for the next 18 months. This was, and the only reason why I asked that is because people of the board or of the water department came out to the house on several occasions, knew that there was a problem, knew that there was a leak. It leaked continuous for 2 months in the backyard into my sewer. So unbeknownst to me, there was ever any issue. So now I'm stuck with this crazy high bill that Mr. Smith says the $1,000, his hands are tied and there's nothing else that can be done about it on his end.
Sean, is this before or after the meeting? I mean, how does it?
So the board has a adopted adjustment policy that limits adjustments to $1,000. It sounds like $2,000 adjustments were offered because the leak spanned over 2 billing cycles. Typically that's the maximum relief that's granted. And then we do certainly try to offer payment plans that can work with an individual.
Currently I'm only offered 1,000 in 18 months and no penalties.
Okay. We'll reach out and contact you and see if we can.
I'm more than willing to call and get this. I just want to know what I have to pay for the next, 18 months. So whatever you guys can maybe discuss, or if you guys didn't come out, a letter, any sort of contact, a sticker on the door. Hey, your water's been running for 2 months straight. A month even at the time would have been half the bill. It's about $4,000 a month to continuously run, if anyone's wondering.
Well, we'll discuss it.
Okay.
And it sounds like if it's between 2 different billing
It is.
cycles, you might be able to get a little bit more than 1,000.
Okay.
And then we'll see between Sean and Mike if we
Okay.
can work out some better arrangements to help you.
Okay.
Fair enough?
Fair enough.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Have a good evening.
Mr. Chairman, the next speaker is Jim Perry.
Good evening. Most of you know who I am. Thank you for allowing me to speak tonight. I'd like to speak to you on Resolution 2024-10-003. That's the waiver for uncollected charges for urban renewal acquisition of Main Street properties for redevelopment. I believe it's about $100,000 in back bills for the water board that's been uncollected for these properties. The city's already waived, I think it's about $300,000. I'm on this board to redevelop the north end along with several other people. And I've heard some of the reservations about this being another project for the north end and how it's not going to happen. And there's a lot of pessimism. But this is going to be a little bit different because we have multiple developers interested. We also have the state behind us. We have the Niagara University and several other developers who I'm really not going to get into all the individual groups, but there are several people who are interested. And all the people signing clauses, the individual developers, we have a clawback clause that they're going to be either they're going to move forward and develop this area, or there's going to be stiff penalties. Now, the possibility of collecting these back bills, as most of you people who've dealt with this sort of thing are probably, you won't be collecting them anyways, or there'll be very little. So I'm just asking you to please think about this, join with us and help moving the city forward in the north end. These properties will go for not pretty much below market value and help us get the city moving forward. Join with us and let's move it forward, please. I appreciate the time. Thank you.
Jim, can I ask a question? On this clawback, is it a possibility? I know there are different stakeholders in it, that we can give something back on the clawback, the water board?
Well, Mr. Chairman, you know, the likelihood of getting anything back for the city, for the water board, for anybody, be honest with you, there'll probably be no collection at all on that. I mean, we're looking at future development. The money we're going to get in the future will far exceed whatever little bit. The city's not going to get anything back. To be honest with you, no,
Okay.
I'm not going to BS you. No.
Okay. Thanks, Jim.
All right.
Is there any more questions on
I do have a
Thank you.
question.
Jim?
Mr.
Jim,
Perry,
Jim,
I have a question.
Yes, Dolly.
So I want to know, how many more of these projects are we going to be expected to be waiving the water bills on? Is this just going to be this one north end? Or are we going to expect every time we do redevelopment to waive?
How many more? As far as I know, this is all we're asking
You're not
for.
going
Is
to be
this-
back here in 3 months asking if
No,
it's for
I
somebody
don't, there's,
else?
there's no plans for that. No, I don't see that happening. That's not in the playbook. No. And like I said, the city's already waived their end of it and, that's just not we need to move the city forward and we're just doing the best we can. And you've all worked with me, but well, most of you worked with me before. So, you know, I'm not going to play any games. That's it.
Thank you.
Okay.
I have a question.
oh, go ahead. Renee,
Yeah,
Thank-
okay. The voice,
Thank you,
Yes.
Mr. Chairman. Jim, is there a specific plan that you all have come together? I mean, you said that there's a group of you who have been, there's multiple developers, Niagara University, several people who are interested. Is there a plan that you have for this property? Since you've come together, do you have a vision?
we had our first meeting this last week. And it's broken down into several different segments, Renee. We have, so far we've gone over some of the contracts that we're putting out there. It's broken down. Some of it's going to be designated for development for housing. There are other areas that we have for venues for a restaurant. The Rapids Theater is in really good shape. We had a couple people that are interested in taking that over. The inside is going to probably have to be a little bit remodeled and updated. But it's in very good shape. there has been some talk of the Jones building. Some of that has to be, a couple of those buildings have to be totally torn down, and we have people that have refab, that need to refab, that are coming in. So there's a general plan, and it also involves the Underground Railroad down in that area. There's a general plan, but it's still taking shape altogether. The vision is to bring commerce into that area and modernize it for housing and for hotels. Also, we're looking, matter of fact, I just got a packet today. I was thinking about bringing it with me for the Rainbow Mall. There is tomorrow, I'm meeting with Senator Kennedy down at the airport. There's an aerospace museum a lot of people don't know about. But we're talking about moving that down to the Rainbow Mall. These are all things in the works right now, and they're not finalized. So you're not going to hear the mayor talk about until, as he says, the paint's dry, because plans change and things happen. But these are all things in the work, Renee, and the things that are developing, and we're hoping to see move forward. So there is an overall vision to bring the city back to life. I hope that answered your question.
Tell me this. Okay, now you mentioned these partners. Do you have community members who are a part of this, or no?
Do
you have community members a part of this, or no? When will the community be brought into this planning process, if ever?
What she's asking, Jim, is do you plan on bringing community members in to give their opinion on what's going on down there?
I know there was a list. I just saw I did see a list of engagements for different communities. I don't have them off the top of my head because I wasn't prepared to speak about them, but there is a list that should be going out to the different localities. I don't have it in front of me, but there is a current list that should be going out shortly if it's not already out there. But I don't have it in front of me, but there is a list, and it's current within the next, I'm saying within the next month or a couple months now. But if you keep your eyes open, matter of fact, I could send it to you when I get it. To your email. I have your email, so I could send it to you.
Okay. And
I'll make a note of that, matter of fact.
Okay. I guess, I guess my concern is that well, of course, I'm just extremely upset about the fact that, of course, we're not going to receive our money. And, and I'm trying to think, Sean, haven't we done this before? In which have we waived fees before?
Not since 2017, 2018. We have not had a similar economic development effort. The only other time that some fees were waived was for an industrial customer, and that was both helpful in spurring the reuse of that site, but also to avoid litigation because they were challenging the propriety of some of the fees that were imposed.
That was the old ALOX plant on Buffalo Avenue.
Yes, I believe that was in 2017 or 2018.
Yeah, I remember that.
So we have not had a similar request from the Urban Renewal Agency in my time with the board.
Okay. Okay, then.
All right.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you, Renee. Thanks,
Yes.
Jim.
Thank you.
Sean, letters and communications.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, in the packet are copies of 3 letters to Jessica Basher, Maria Ball, and Dana Phillips, all Water Board employees. And I just want to use the agenda packet and this spot on the agenda to take a moment to express appreciation for their handling of a recent probe by the New York State Division of Homeland Security and Emergency Services Office of Counterterrorism. They probed our security procedures using undercover plainclothes officers, and the individuals cited in the letters performed very well. They refused entry, they refused the information requested. They noted the make and model of the vehicles that the individuals arrived in. So they did everything right. And, certainly we have a lot of successes every day that don't catch as much attention. But here it was commended both by the external law enforcement agencies, how well we performed. And I do know that they probed other agencies in the area. The fact that they suggested that we did very well leads me to believe that our folks probably performed better than some of our peers in the county in Western New York.
Thank you. The board thanks you for recognizing and giving the letter of commendation to Jessica, Maria, and Dana. And we want to thank them because if they didn't do things right, we could have had some issues both internally and externally. So I thank you for recognizing that, Sean. Prior meeting minutes, is there any discussion on them? Sean, you want to do roll call?
Mr. Chairman, a motion to approve
Motion to approve.
or accept.
Move it.
Second.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Not all of us can vote yay or nay because some of us have to abstain because we weren't present at the meetings. You need to take. the vote.
Right. Yeah,
Oh,
well,
okay.
yeah, exactly.
Would you
So
like me to
Sean
call the
has
roll?
do the
Yeah.
roll call.
Board Member Aversa?
Sorry, stay.
Board Member Dean?
Yes.
Board Member Kimball?
Yes.
Board Member Larkin?
Abstain.
Chairman Sirianni?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Executive Director,
Mr.
Jen-
Chairman, I have nothing terribly or particularly substantive to add beyond what was discussed last week. I do note that perhaps the most significant piece of business, or one of the more significant pieces of business before the board, is approval of the collective bargaining agreements. I would like to thank the union representatives present, many of the individuals who are on the negotiating committee for the union, for the steelworkers are present. I appreciate them working with us. I think that we had a collaborative bargaining session. We have developed plans that will generate substantial savings for the water board, not without cost, of course. But we feel confident, although the budget is not yet put together, that this contract in the first year should have little or no impact driving rates up. We can't control necessarily chemical costs and other factors, but between the amount that was set aside this year, anticipating the need to provide raises, vacant positions, and the cost savings, I do not believe that the new contracts will drive any increase in rates.
thank you, Sean.
I have some questions for Mr. Costello.
Go ahead.
Okay, so Mr. Costello, earlier this year and throughout the last 7 years, we have discussed conflict of interest in the past, in particular with regard to family members, specifically children, when it becomes a situation for which recusal is needed. And during our most recent conversation, I believe you said you didn't know the answer. So I went out and got myself a little educated because tonight we have 2 votes, resolutions 1 and 4, for which there is a question about conflict of interest due to a parent-child relationship between a board member and a child who resides at the same residence, for which your legal opinion and guidance is needed for this board so that there is no potential issues or questions that arise that could jeopardize the results of these votes should anything be contested. Now, Mr. Costello, I'm sure you're aware of Article 18 of the New York State Municipal Law. This article of the law provides guidance on these types of questions. And I reached out to COLIC, Commission on Ethics and Lobbying in Government, who kind of was surprised there hadn't been a recusal agreement already signed. And I also reached out to John Manzini, who is the legal counsel for the New York State Conference of Mayors, who specializes in ethics and conflicts of interest legal advice. He was kind enough to provide me with a document that illustrates when familiar relationships could constitute an issue on voting with these 2 resolutions. I do have a copy for you as soon as I'm done. But let me just read to you the one section that is pertinent. Nepotism. What is it? The New York State Attorney General has opined on several occasions regarding this issue of nepotism. As a general proposition, it is recommended that members of legislative bodies should not take part in any actions concerning the salary and terms and conditions of employment of his or her spouse or family member in a safe governmental unit. The rationale for this recommendation is that the protection of the public funds deserves special attention in order to maintain public confidence in government. These issues tend to rise in the following context: union management negotiations, union management liaison, municipal budget line items, and executive session. Specifically, the Attorney General has opined, and I'm just going to give you one example. A member of City Council must recuse herself from participating in a matter concerning the salary, terms, and conditions of employment of her son, who serves as head of Public Works. Now, we have some other, you'll find a little bit of light reading here with regard to, this is from the Office of the State Comptroller, and it basically lays out the fundamentals of Article 18 in the General Municipal Law. Specifically, it goes into a lot of detail about what is a contract, what constitutes a contract. The one thing I would think I'll read here is from what is an interest in a contract. In order for a municipal officer employee to have a public prohibited interest in a contract, prohibited being the key word, is that the individual must have an interest in the contract. Article 18 defines the term interest as a direct or indirect pecuniary or material benefit accruing to a municipal officer's employee as a result of a contract with a municipality which such officers or employee serves. Whether the municipal officer employee receives the benefit as a result of a municipal contract is factual determination. For example, ordinarily, a municipal officer employee who receives payment under a contract with his or her municipality would have an interest in the contract because the payment is direct financial benefit resulting in the contract. As a municipal officer or employee, however, does not have to be party to the contract in order to have an interest in the contract. To illustrate, when a municipality contracts with a person who resides with a municipal officer or employee, and the proceeds from the contract are used to defray common household items, which is reasonably expected when you have a family member, the municipal officer or employee would have an interest in the contract because he or she reserves indirect financial benefit as a result of the contract. Now, there's a lot of reading here again, Sean, I'm happy to give this to you. But one of the things it specifically says, when do powers and duties give rise to prohibitive interest? If a municipal officer or employee has an interest in the contract and the interest is not prohibited under Article 18, unless a third factor is present, the individual must have certain official powers or duties with respect to the contract. Under Article 18, an interest in the contract is prohibited if the municipal officer employee individually or as a member of a board has the power or duty to negotiate, prepare, authorize, or approve the contract. So, Mr. Carter, would you kindly hand this to Mr. Costello? I realize there's a lot to unpack here, Mr. Costello, but and it should also be noted that in the City Council, there was a recent precedent in which one of the council members did abstain because a family member would benefit from the contract. Therefore, it would be somebody that was in her household. Now, my question to you, Mr. Costello, the last 7 years you have been entrusted to provide sound and legal guidance to the board. For us to proceed tonight on these resolutions, we need your legal opinion.
Well, I regret that you didn't provide this information to me with an opportunity to review prior to the meeting. However, I can note that General Municipal Law Article 18 is not likely the governing statute that governs the conduct of this board. Instead, Public Officers Law Section 73, 74, and Civil Service Law Section 107 are the statutes applicable to state employees. Water board members are considered under those ethics rules because we have an appointee of the governor. I do know that during the vetting process associated with Chairman Sirianni's appointment, the Commission on Ethics and Lobbying in Government did render an opinion to Mr. Sirianni regarding certain conflicts or potential conflicts. I do not believe that there would be a conflict of interest in voting on the collective bargaining agreement because that does not, it impacts the majority of the workforce generally. And while there is one individual who is a relative of Mr. Sirianni who would be impacted by that vote, the majority, it's applicable to the entity as a whole. It's very difficult to say that, you know, for example, passing a city ordinance would, because it would impact many members of a council member's
Mhm.
family that they automatically would have to recuse themselves because it could potentially impact a member of their family. I think a similar argument or analogy could be made here.
Okay. And are you willing to put that in writing for the board before this vote?
It depends on whether the board would like to delay the vote in order to do that. However, I've offered my oral opinion.
I prefer a writing.
Well, then maybe you should get a motion, because I don't think you need to put it in writing. He's on the record.
Well, Colleen, if you want it to take place, make a motion, and if your motion passes, then it can be put in writing. If your motion
Okay.
fails, then we will proceed and vote on this, the resolutions. So make a motion.
Okay. I make a motion to have Mr. Costello's opinion on conflict of interest with supporting documentation put into writing before we vote.
Is there a second on that?
There's a second? No? The motion is denied.
Okay. All right, fine.
Every day I'm a county legislator. I represent the sheriff.
I don't believe,
I'll talk about it. Deputy Nemi has a relative on a father on is a legislator. Deputy Lockport.
okay.
Irene Myers had her son-in-law.
I'm sorry, I don't even know who you are.
What's that?
I don't know who you are that you're yelling at me.
That's
I
all
don't know
right.
who you are neither. My name's Jim Briggs, and I don't really care if you know who I am. I'm here to represent these workers, and I'll say what has to be said. It happens every day in this county, and you're raising an issue that shouldn't even be raised tonight.
Okay. Thank you for what you had to say, Mr. Briggs.
Okay, thank you, Jimmy.
Jim, I don't want anybody thinking I'm somebody special.
Okay, we'll proceed with the meeting. Thank you, Sean. Operations Executive Outside Infrastructure Updates, Mr. Conti.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman and board members. Not much change at the water and wastewater plants. We're continuing with our projects. The update I'll give you is in outside maintenance, the 77th Street water line. All the services were completed as of Friday. And an interconnect at Girard was done Saturday. And I believe a cap was done on a 10-inch line at the Boulevard in 77th. So that project is on schedule. That's all I have.
Thank you, David. Any questions? I'm sorry, any questions for David?
We have 2 more interconnects, and I believe they will be finished by the middle of this month, the middle of November.
Thank you, David.
You're welcome.
Engineering, Douglas Williamson, any more updates?
Well, I have too many updates to give you. Actually, the CIP plan that I put together, actually provides all those type of updates. I've got actually a, like it's 5-page spreadsheet, 11 by 17, that we use for planning all the projects. But I also have an 11 by 17, summary sheet, that actually provides, it's an easier thing to look at than to understand all our thinking process. And it'll give you a brief update of basically where all the projects are. And I'm not sure if you're familiar with our CIP plan yet or not, and all the categories that we have, but basically we've got combined project water and sewer, we've got wastewater infrastructure projects, sewer infrastructure projects, water treatment plant infrastructure projects, and finally water infrastructure projects. So if you look at my condensed version of CIP plan, it kind of gives everybody a better idea of the status of a lot of the projects, whether they're in design or, who the design consultant is, what % complete they are. There's also a 5-year budgeted forecast of those expenditures that are always estimated until you get a real value contract cost from a contractor. So it's it's this kind of a schematic in a way, because really you need you need real costs and, we're investigating maybe a software like New World, which I don't really think it has great capabilities of, planning. It'll track expenditures, but to actually put that over 5 years, that's throwing darts. So basically, we will get you a copy of that very soon after reviewing with, executive staff. They have some input on it and, everybody else at the water board. But yeah, it's ongoing every day and it changes. So it's always a work in progress.
Okay, well, we appreciate that.
Yeah.
Is there any questions to Doug?
I've got, this is my worksheet, but I don't want to give it out. There's other spread, yeah, it's, I've got one that's really crazy, let's put it that way, that encompasses all that, but I'm just trying, yeah, I can explain it better. I mean, if you look at, each of the projects that we have going on, like Project 1, sedimentation basins, that kind of CPL has the oversight on that, and just to understand where we stand with, finishing up the last basin, number 2, and actually their inspector, I'm not the inspector on the job, to tell you exactly where that stands more than I could.
I've seen the spreadsheet, some of them were like, 7 paper based upgrade.
Oh, yeah.
On budget was almost 10.4 million.
Right.
Looks like it, this may final.
Yeah, that could very well be, yeah, I have that on my desk. Yeah, CPL is tracking all the phase 1 and 2 projects. The increases in the there's some, yeah, I mean, Jay Myers might be able to talk to you better about that because he's had the direct administration of that project and our change orders that he deals directly with, like whole industrial and that. And we're all, we're looking at adding another project. There's some phase, according to their calcs, there's some phase 1 budget still available. There's also phase 2 money available for a lot of those projects. So, but this is, there's a lot going on here. So, and especially other ones, there's even worse. Like very tough to follow. I can follow because I did it. But no, to get it in someone else's brain, that's not easy. No, that doesn't, there's a lot of ongoing things, and then we're applying for more grants and all that kind of good stuff. So, a lot going on. Yep.
Doug, thank you very much.
Yeah, no problem.
Personnel items, Sean Costello.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The personnel action sheet is at page 15 of the agenda packet. There has been one addition to this sheet. It is a request that the board authorize us to post for an apprentice mechanic in lieu of. This will replace the controlled maintenance mechanic approved or authorized at the July 2024 board meeting. This is a nice opportunity to highlight 2 significant new changes that we have negotiated with the steelworkers. One is the apprenticeship program, which is a just about cost neutral 2-year training program, whereby a new mechanic who does not necessarily have the skills required to take and pass the civil service examination will have an opportunity for 1 year of training at the wastewater plant and 1 year of training at the water plant at a rate somewhat reduced from the full rate for control maintenance mechanic. And also, while we wait to appoint a control maintenance mechanic, a fully trained one, to this plant, we now have the flexibility in our collective bargaining agreement to temporarily assign a fully trained mechanic from the wastewater treatment plant here to water to help us make sure we're getting the projects that need to be done. And that was never a right that management clearly possessed under the old collective bargaining agreements. Now we have language which gives us both the clear right to do so and a procedure for doing it.
Thank you. Is there a motion to accept 1 and 2? Jim, 1 and 2?
Motion to accept the PA sheet.
Okay. Is there a second? Ralph? Roll call?
Board Member Aversa? Board Member Dean?
Yes.
Board Member Kimball?
Yes.
Board Member Larkin,
Yes.
Chairman Siriani.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Information technology, Mr. Joyce?
Good evening, Board. I'm happy to report that Darktrace and CISA scans found no high-level security vulnerabilities. Currently, our VMware environment and our hardware is aged. So I was looking at other options to go into the cloud or AWS. However, I found a more cost-effective test environment that we could do hypervisors locally, virtual computers. And there's other water authorities and municipalities that use this software. So I currently have a testing station down in the IT room, and I'm hoping that this works out. With that, our contract for Spectrum ends next March. So we're kind of renegotiating that contract. And at that point, we're going to redo the network to make it more segmented for security. The Gorge, we made progress with the Gorge with the fiber optic cable run from the top to the bottom, where we plan on putting a little bit of access control and security cameras. However, we had some equipment fail at our wastewater facility, and I had to flex over some of that equipment down there to keep that running. So once that comes in, we'll start back on that project. Since I'm shorthanded right now and we are looking at other system engineers applications, I implemented a help desk that I think is going really well to kind of just organize and prioritize all our duties and responsibilities. We have the internet connection at the water tower with a camera up there. It currently went down, but I have to go back out there and take a look at that. But that's something that we did not have in the past. And lastly, with our mobile device management system, we've been testing FirstNet wireless communication, which is a company of AT&T that's made for first responders with their MDM software. It's been working really good and encrypts everything. And if anything goes up MIA, we could delete it on site. And that also brings up our security awareness. And that's everything. That's the highlights of everything.
Any questions for Mr. Joyce? Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Smith, Finance, anything?
Good
Good
Just, just following up with a few comments from last week. The Neptune 360 project, we did hear back from Debbie. She did identify a few accounts that need to be looked at further and resolved. So I'll have my staff work on that, and we'll get back to her this week on that. We have 2 interviews scheduled for tomorrow for the front desk position, which was vacated last month. The budget is ongoing. We did meet with a member from Drescher Lucky, who we contract with to look at our budget and analyze our budget, and also work with reviewing our billing rates. So that basically they just stopped by last week to introduce themselves to myself and just kind of discuss what services they provide for us. But the budget is still ongoing, and I hope to be able to work, much more with that this coming week. That's it.
Any questions for Mr. Smith? Thank you, Michael.
Thank you.
John Accardo, Safety?
Good evening, Mr. Chairman. I have nothing new to add to my report last week unless somebody has a question.
Any questions for Mr. Accardo?
Did you say you were doing some diversity?
No, we're not doing any diversity training right now. We have nothing planned unless you have a. Okay. Thank you.
Thanks, John. Any questions regarding September Operations and maintenance reports. No. Construction. Okay, then we'll go to proceed to resolutions.
Mr. Chairman, the first resolution is found at page 19 of the agenda packet. It is resolution number 2024-10001, authorizing execution of collective bargaining agreements with United Steelworkers Union.
Is there
Motion to approve.
motion approved? Is there a second?
Second.
Roll call, Sean?
Board Member Aversa,
You have to ask questions.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry.
There might be questions.
Any questions?
Mr. Aversa, you had some questions, I believe, on the contract? I have some questions for Mr. Smith. Mr. Smith, as you're working on this budget, have you been able to take a long-term look at the cost of this wage increase going forward? Because my calculations are that's about $3.25 million for the first year, not including New York State retirement contributions, not including increases to overtime. Have you been able to project out what this is going to cost us in terms of the next 5 years?
I have not at this point in time, but that is definitely something that I will be working on.
But we don't have that information before this vote. I mean, I've seen it, Mr. Costello put in there lots of other figures, but we don't have anything in this vote regarding how much this is going to cost and what we can project it to be for the ratepayers going forward. What percentage increase just for this contract will be for the ratepayers?
Yeah, I can't really comment on that at this point in time.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Smith.
Sure.
No more questions? We'll proceed to vote.
Board Member Aversa,
I was not around for the negotiations or any other active involvement. I'm going to respect the state of voting.
Board Member Dean,
Yes.
Board Member Kimball,
Yes.
Board Member Larkin,
So I've actually given this contract some thought, careful thought, and I realize it does make a lot of people happy. But happiness comes with a price tag. And in this particular case, the people that are going to have to pay the price are our ratepayers. I cannot confidently vote on a resolution to increase wages, even though I know that we have to go up somewhat on wage salaries. I cannot confidently vote without the information of how much it's going to be. Because based on my own projections and just on the amount of money we're doing, this is going to probably cost a ratepayer by the end of this time, 12 to 15% more in water bills. So I will abstain from voting until I have the correct information.
Chairman Sirianni.
The director already said this is not going to cause a rate increase. We already had, under your administration, 25% rate increases for 2 years, and I didn't hear you object to anything.
Well, Mrs. Sirianni, there are costs that you can control and there are costs you can't control.
Well, then why don't we talk about what we can control? With your leadership in the last board, you've created a swamp over here. Hiring, yes, not excuse me, $500,000 billing with 5 TVs? You okayed that. What about all the work going on in the gorge? You okayed that. Millions of dollars. Okay? And you're worried about.
Those are one-time costs. This is a legacy cost.
We want our guys to get hired doing fresh water and wastewater for $18 an hour? Are you kidding me?
I'm not saying that that's the amount that I said.
No, I don't care what you say.
Yeah, obviously you don't.
I
never
don't.
care what anybody says.
I don't. You come to this board with hatred towards me.
I have no
love
hatred
it.
towards anything.
I love it. You're in my arena, young lady.
Watch your mouth.
Anyways, Sean, I vote yes.
Motion passes. The next resolution is found beginning at page 27 of the agenda packet. Resolution number 2024-10002, renewing memorandum of understanding with Jamestown Community College. I can hear you. Would you please just move the button on your microphone up and, or down, then up? Better? No.
Guys heard now? Okay, now I can hear you. Now I can hear you. Okay, thank you. Just a quick overview of this. And I see James, not that I have anything against Chautauqua County, Jamestown Community, or yeah, Chautauqua County. Why Jamestown and not here? But just give me an overview of the program quick, like
Sure.
3 minutes or less.
Starting in 2018 and then after 2018, these courses, the wastewater treatment operator certification courses in particular, were not offered at Buffalo State anymore. That's where for a long time our operators went to receive the training. So for several years, the courses were not available in Western New York. They were available in places like SUNY Morrisville and in Essex County, places that are particularly inconvenient to send a water board employee for a multi-day training course. Sort of in conjunction with the development of this facility, Jamestown was offering the courses in Dunkirk. Again, not a terribly convenient drive. They agreed to begin offering those courses. They recognized that there was a need for the courses in Western New York, and in the northern part of Western New York. They agreed to begin offering the courses here if we were able to host the courses in our facility. They see quite a few benefits to that because they're able to look at pumps, labs, all the things in real life by just walking out the double doors. So we get a modest discount when we send our operators to these courses, but it's been very successful. We've had a lot of our operator trainees complete necessary courses in the past couple of years. The good news is Buffalo State this semester began offering some courses again, so there'll be even more training opportunities in the future. And, it's a service in a way for the entire water and wastewater community because other systems send their operators here. But of course, the wastewater business is not all about, your own individual community. It's the folks downriver. So it's in our interest that everybody be trained.
Good, I get it.
All right.
You're over 3 minutes.
Okay.
Thank you, Ralph.
Attorneys.
Next agenda item, Sean?
So at this time, if the board would make a motion to approve or
So made.
second. May I call the roll?
Roll call.
Board Member Aversa,
Yes.
Board Member Dean,
Yes.
Board Member Kimball,
Yes.
Board Member Larkin,
Yes.
Chairman Sirianni.
Yes.
Motion passes. The next resolution is found beginning at page 31 of the agenda packet. Resolution 2024-10-003, waiver of uncollectible charges to support urban renewal acquisition of Main Street properties for redevelopment.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call.
Board Member Aversa,
Yes.
Board Member Dean,
Yes.
Board Member Kimball,
I really don't like this resolution. And I'm just kind of tired of the city of Niagara Falls coming up with plans that you don't really have plans for, and the city continually looking the way that it does. However, because Jim, I have a relationship with you, I'm going to trust you that you're going to do what's right regarding this. And so I'm going to vote yes with reservation, but if it doesn't work out, Jim, I will definitely be discussing this with you in the future.
Board Member Larkin,
Yes.
Chairman Sirianni.
Yes, I just want to say something on it. See, Jim, we don't tell city council what to do, but I think what you're hearing from the board and especially Renee is if you can get some community people who live in that area to help you, guide you through it. And once in a while, maybe you'll make a hit and get a developer in there. That's what we all hope for. And that's what Renee's saying. So I vote yes. Thank you.
The next resolution is found, motion passes. Next resolution is found beginning at page 34 of the agenda packet. Resolution 2024-10-004, authorizing settlement of PERB case number U38869.
Is there a motion?
Motion.
Seconds or a second?
Second,
Just a quick overview,
Sure. So
under 3 minutes.
I will do my very best to make it under 3 minutes. I'll have to talk fast though. And I do know we've got a lot of members of the union in the room, so they might not agree in entirety with my version of the facts here. But over the course of the past few years, a couple of union positions have retired. The water board and they were supervisors, so crew leaders at the water plant and the wastewater plant, which are the individuals that run the buildings and grounds crew. Those positions in that unit have long been, notwithstanding the new contract language that has been negotiated, seniority governs in the appointment of individuals to positions in the hourly unit is what we call it. There also was a supervisor of maintenance position that retired a couple of years ago and was never replaced. It has been the union's position and the position they took before Herb that the water board, instead of hiring to replace those retirements, because no position replaced them, was put the work that was done by bargaining unit members in the hands of management. This matter was scheduled to go to a hearing earlier, or I guess in September. But based on our agreement to a tentative settlement here, it has been put off. This does not require payment of any back pay. Essentially, what the board would do is appoint a lower cost supervisory position here. Instead of supervisor of maintenance, it will be a planning and resource coordinator to manage all maintenance activities or to supervise the maintenance activities. And then 2 crew leaders, one here, one at the wastewater plant. The water board has been paying since the retirement of the last incumbent crew leader at the wastewater plant an individual acting pay to do those duties. And it will not increase headcount at either plant because the crew leader title that we're talking about is a working position. The individual will continue, not only will supervise and organize jobs, but will continue to be a laboring position.
And the person that is going to get this is next on the seniority list.
Well, only if they put in for the job. So
Well,
we have a bidding process, and if they choose to bid, they will get
it will be
appointed.
given to the person that is next eligible for it if they choose to apply for the position.
Yes.
It's like a lawyer here.
Sean,
And go ahead.
and the union's already signed off on this?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And, part of the negotiations, this was resolved at the same time, or the agreement was hammered out at the same time we were negotiating the contract. A big thing here, a benefit to the board is that there is going to be no back pay paid to any individual. Some of this back pay would date to, I believe, 2020, early 2023, or even late 2022. So that's a benefit to the board.
And you believe this is a fair agreement?
I think it's fair, and I think that almost any staff would agree that we really need these positions. Maintenance at this plant has suffered from not having a full-time supervisor dedicated to it. Mr. Conti has done his level best to be responsible for wastewater treatment plant operations as well as maintenance here. But it's a full-time job, and I think that we really can improve the quality and the timeliness of the maintenance that we're doing here. Plus, even just with the outside or with the buildings and grounds crews, it's very difficult when you don't have a point of contact, a person that's responsible for scheduling the jobs to, assign a task, to say something as simple as, to get this room wiped down in advance of a meeting. Not having a crew leader, which we haven't had now for a long time, it's sort of just look around and try to find somebody instead of being able to delegate that task and have it, carried out.
Thank you, Sean. Any more questions? Thank you. Roll call, Sean, please.
Board Member Aversa?
Yes.
Board Member Dean?
Yes.
Board Member Kimball?
yes.
Board Member Larkin?
Abstain.
Chairman Siriani?
I believe legally I can vote on this, but I'm going to abstain.
The motion passes. The next resolution is found beginning at page 37 of the packet. Resolution 2024-10-005, authorizing settlement of personal injury litigation with James Ligamari.
Any questions? Any motion?
Motion to accept.
Second.
Roll call, Sean?
Board Member Aversa?
Yes.
Board Member Dean?
Yes.
Board Member Kimball?
Yes,
Board Member Larkin?
Yes.
Chairman Siriani?
Yes.
Motion passes. The next resolution is found beginning at page 38 of the agenda packet. Resolution 2024-10-006, authorizing execution of collective bargaining agreement with the building trades. And
Move it.
Member Kimball, I got your motion.
There's
Second.
any more discussion on it? Roll call, please.
Board Member Aversa,
For the same reason as the first collective bargaining agreement, I will abstain.
Board Member Dean,
Yes.
Board Member Kimball,
Yes.
Board Member Larkin,
For the same reason as the first, that we don't have enough information as to how this is going to play out over the next 5 to 10 years, I abstain.
Chairman Siriani.
Yes,
Motion passes. The next resolution is found beginning at page 41 of the agenda packet, resolution number 2024-10-007, authorizing settlement of grievances related to payment of accrued vacation on retirement.
is there a motion?
Motion.
Second?
Can you just give me,
Second.
I'm sorry, Renee, I'm sorry.
Oh, you go ahead. You can have it.
I was going to say second, I was just going to ask for an overview of it real quick. You do the second, go ahead.
Sure.
Okay.
On this one, for at least the past 10 years, the Water Board has paid to retiring individuals the full amount of their vacation accruals that they had on the books. In the past couple of years, we discovered that the contract language seems to limit the, at least tier 1 retirees, so persons hired before January 1, 2008, to accrue no more than 12 weeks at any given time. So the individuals that are specifically named in the memorandum of agreement were retirees who had been allowed to accumulate far more than we believe the contract calls for. The union has a different interpretation of the contract based on another provision that says the Water Board will pay out the accruals on retirement. So this resolution will pay out the individuals 80% of what they were denied in terms of the accrued time that they had at retirement. And, just notably, these individuals could have chosen to take a whole bunch of vacation time and delayed their retirement date. So the Water Board would have had to pay for it one way or another. But it pays 80%. It clarifies the language, and we have the union's agreement that moving forward, no more than 12 weeks will be paid out based on the Water Board's interpretation of the language. And we'll give them the couple of individuals who have excess balances till the end of next year to bring those down.
In other words, use them before they leave.
Yeah, to use them before they leave,
Yeah.
yes.
Any more questions?
Nope.
Roll call, Sean?
Board Member Aversa,
Yes.
Board Member Dean,
Yes.
Board Member Kimball,
Yes.
Board Member Larkin,
Yes.
Chairman Siriani.
Yes,
Motion passes. The final resolution in the packet tonight begins at page 46 of the agenda packet. Resolution 2024-10-008, declaring certain property surplus and authorizing disposal through auction.
Move it.
Second.
Second.
Mr. Dean seconded.
any questions? Roll call, please.
Board Member Aversa,
Yes.
Board Member Dean,
Yes.
Board Member Kimball,
Yes.
Board Member Larkin,
Yes.
Chairman Siriani.
Yes,
Motion passes.
okay. Is there any unfinished or old business? Yes,
I hear Board Member Larkin asking for a lot of information. I just want you to understand, Ms. Larkin, that the group of workers we're talking about, there's 5 tier 1 employees left here who will be fired before the end of this contract. You talk about savings, you should have calculated the savings before you came here as a board member.
I did. I wanted confirmation on it, and I couldn't get the information I wanted.
No, you didn't. You didn't.
How do you know what I'm talking to Costello about? You don't scream at me. You did not scream at me.
wait,
Listen,
one
Point of
second,
order here.
1
I'm
second.
telling you.
Wait, Jimmy, 1 second. You have the floor.
Thank you. What I'm telling you is this group of workers 10 years ago decided to get out of the first tier health insurance plan that you pay 100% of, that you're trying to fix now because previous boards didn't fix it. This group of workers have been paying 20% of their health insurance on a lesser plan, saving the Water Board hundreds, if not millions of dollars out of their paychecks, 20%. It's time to get caught up. Those who think the legacy costs going forward when they retire, they're gonna pay 20%, not zero. You need to consider them things, and you need to think about them. They're not second-class citizens.
I never said that.
I'm talking. They're first-class citizens. They belong to this union, and they deserve this board's respect for the work they do. These residents depend on these people, not you, none of you, to provide safe water, to be able to flush their toilets, and they do a hell of a job. You get no complaints, just about none, and now they're trying to get caught up for what you're taking out of their checks, that the previous workers, and reducing your legacy costs on health insurance. And did you calculate that in? I doubt it.
Mr. Briggs, listen to me very carefully. First of all, I will not be yelled at. Second of all,
Just heard, so I don't care what you think.
Mr. Briggs, we have ratepayers in the city who are not going to see a $7,000 raise this year. We have ratepayers in the city who are not guaranteed 5%, 4%, 4%, 4% for the next.
Negotiate contracts, I do.
Well,
We got ratepayers in the city making twice what these people make, if you want to know anything, and in Western New York. I've been the subdirector for 27 years. I know what's going on in contracts.
Okay,
I know people get 10% raises on $38 an hour. Do the math, Ms. Larkin. Do
Okay.
the math before you open them out.
okay, Colleen, you have anything more to say? Colleen, you have anything more?
other than being disrespected here? No, I don't.
Okay, thank you. New business and additional items for discussion. Because there's no executive session planned. I call for a motion to adjourn.
Move it.
Oh, wait, before I want to say a couple of things. First of all, I know Sean's shorthanded, and I want to thank Sean and the U.S. Steelworkers for working together to get a fair contract, a fair long-term contract. Because those aren't easily done. And I want to thank both Sean's team and the Steelworkers team for doing it. We thank you. Call for adjournment.
Need a second to the motion.
Did we motion to adjourn?
Yes,
Yeah, I
roll
made it.
call.
I heard you. Renee, you gotta show up for a meeting. I haven't seen you in a while.
Well, you see why I don't come.
You got me again.
But we will see each other soon, Ralph.
Okay.
Roll call, Sean?
Board Member Aversa,
Yes.
Board Member Dean,
Yes.
Board Member Kimball,
Yes.
Board Member Larkin,
Yes to adjourn.
Chairman Sirianni.
Yes.
Motion passes. The time for the purpose of the recording is 6:02 PM.
I know, big contention.
Thank you, Renee.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you.